Hello YouTube, this is the Plastic Commando coming to you from deep behind enemy lines. Or actually in this case, we're coming to you from France in 1/35 scale. Something a little bit different today. As you know, part of this channel when I began focuses primarily on of course Axis and Allies board gaming, in particular. As I know you may have seen, I've been doing quite a bit on Axis and Allies World War I, 1914. But of course this channel will continue to keep expanding to different avenues, different facets, if you will, of interest that that I enjoy doing. Part of which is painting miniatures in a variety of scales. Of course, 1/35, 1/72, 20 millimeter, all historical based, and the majority of which would include 20th century warfare. Some of you may have recognized part of this model diorama. It's in part in my opening video to my channel. Each time I have a video that posts, and this is actually a 1/35 scale diorama that I had put together just a few years back from some old supply that some of the kits, frankly, I've had for 20 years. Some of the figures from Tamiya. But again, part of the channel, I want to sort of showcase some of the models, dioramas, which I enjoy putting together, but also in the future doing some perhaps step-by-step modeling in terms of putting together a diorama, maybe from start to finish. And I'll say from the outset, I am not in no way an expert in diorama modeling. There's various channels on YouTube where there's quite a few experts that do just outstanding work. But having said that, I mean, I consider myself maybe slightly above average in the case, but I'm not, again, an expert like some we've seen. But in any event, I think the passion is just to have fun in what you do your best at it, and again, always strive to continue to try to better and improve your modeling skills. And that certainly occurs from diorama to diorama, putting together models. I know I can certainly go back and look at some of my original work 25, 30 years ago, and there's a big difference today. So now I'm going to go through and we'll kind of look at various parts of this diorama. But I want to say from the outset, part of my inspiration for doing this today is, and you may actually hear in the background quite a bit of vibration and knocking, drilling, sawing. We are at the household here in the midst of a basement gutting and remodel, and so this is part of the inspiration for wanting to do just a quick video today on the demolition that is going on at the house at this time. And what better way of showcasing that is showing a demolished French barn in the countryside of France after Germany has invaded and successfully captured and taken over France in the summer of 1940. Later in this video, I'll show some of the kits which I've used to put this together, and we'll talk about maybe a few of those as we go along. But I'm going to go ahead and we'll zoom in and take a look at some of the details of this diorama. And of course, as you see here, we've got a commander that is taking a break from hostilities, and he's reading a newspaper, enjoying a bottle of wine, and looks like he is perhaps ready to open up some mail that that he may have gotten from his wife or sweetheart back from Berlin. And we've got a few figures here, one of which is a motorcycle soldier. Perhaps has brought some news of the action in France. And then, of course, we have a subordinate, perhaps a lieutenant here, that has been, looks like, going over map and terrain with the officer. And as we pan around here, we've got a few soldiers. Of course, all of these guys are in a relaxed position. Again, this is a break that the German army has taken, and here we have a soldier here, perhaps maybe a lieutenant. No, excuse me, not a lieutenant. Maybe a corporal. I'll have to go back and look over my German insignia. Of course, you see he's got some insignia on the sleeve, which I have added. Of course, he's offering his commander a cigaretten. And as we pan over this way, we've got, of course, a few other soldiers here enjoying a few bottles of wine. Of course, we've got one that's broken there in the background. And of course, this fella, he's made himself a little nice cozy place on a pile of bricks in the farm. Maybe getting ready to enjoy a little bit of sausage. Hopefully he's going to share with his fellow soldiers here. And we've got a German machine gunner that also is perhaps ready to enjoy a taste of the French wine. And of course, as you see here in the back, we've got his MG34 position on the barn. We've got a few standard German rifles stacked there as well, K98 Mauser, and here we've got an NCO with an MP40. Maybe get a better look here. Who is enjoying a bit to eat right now, and of course we'll pan over here, and this is the French barn that obviously had seen been some action through this part of the countryside. That is still standing, albeit in a shell. Perhaps had taken a bomb nearby. So the Germans have decided to make this peaceful scene, albeit with ruins, part of their area of taking a break, taking a rest. And as we pan over here to the left, we've got the BMW motorcycle with a sidecar that the motorcycle soldier had just arrived in to bring news to the officer. And then here we have the officer's vehicle, the German Kubelwagen or Kubelwagen, and you'll see here on the back perhaps the officer's helmet and MP40 in case he needs that as they're going through the countryside. And this is just sort of a brief overview of the video itself. I want to highlight just a few things that I tried to focus on in building this project. Certainly we see with the building, shell of the building that is left, we've got quite a bit of scattered debris. We've got some prior burn marks that have came up through the windows. Obviously, when the barn exploded, there was some fire that certainly had burned a few of the planks and windows as well. And up here we've got where the roof had been blown off. This roof was made of the trusses made of balsa wood, and I had a little bit of stain that I had around the house here just to give it a little bit of effect. And you'll see when I did that, I took a board off to simulate the positioning of a board maybe that had been blown off as well. So you'll see those little light marks in the middle where a previous board had been. And of course we've got some signs that would be present in the French countryside. These are actually 1/35 scale for Linden, signs that can be added to give a little bit of detail to your dioramas. Just got a few little pieces that I had from various kits laying around. Here's a wagon wheel that certainly is appropriate for a barn. We've got a 1/35 scale barrel that it's got a little bit of murky water in there that's perhaps been sitting for some time. And we've got a few of the details here, of course. These soldiers represent a variety of different kits, and I have repositioned some of the arms, maybe changed out a few details of the soldiers. Of course, we've got with the soldier over here, the NCO. It's a little bit dark. I apologize for that. We've got the MP40 that he's got strapped around the shoulder here. Let's see if we can bring this out here. There we go. Maybe a little better. I had added some magazine pouches to this figure. The standard figure was just an infantry soldier, and I believe actually he had pouches for rifle rounds, which I had cut away and sanded off and added these magazine pouches from another kit. And then of course you'll see the there we go, he's got the MP40 that I had actually attached with a strap, and I'll try to bring this around here if I can. Put a strap on the MP40 that would actually hold, and that's a detail also from maybe this is a better angle here. That's a detail from Verlinden. They've got various straps that can be added to weapons to give a little more specific detail as well. And also, while we're looking at that, this little soldier here that's offering cigarettes to his commander, you'll see the detail of the harnesses on the back of the poncho, the camouflage poncho at the top, and a little bit more detail of his equipment. Those again are also Verlinden straps, which I had molded and wrapped around the pouch, or excuse me, the poncho, and painted those up. Of course, we've tried to weather as much as we can. We've got some scratches, nicks and dings in the equipment, showing a lot of wear and tear from being in the field. And in particular, in trying to dress up a lot of these miniatures, I used 1/35 Verlinden uniform decals, which really I believe enhance a lot of the look, in particular the officer, as you'll see here. There's some detail on the cap. The ribbon in the center of his tunic is a detail from Verlinden. We've got, of course, the German eagle over here on the which would be the right side of his pocket on the top. And then we have, which you'll see on, which would be his left side pocket, we've got a German medal, which I have added with an eagle and a swastika there at the very bottom, which is extremely hard to see. And of course he's reading a French newspaper, and all of this comes from Verlinden as well. Similarly, we've got some detail on the subordinate officer. We've got an eagle on top of his cap, as well as a ribbon as well, which would be typical with officers that would be attached to, say, a command. This soldier here, who actually came from, it's a discontinued set from Eschi, which, no, excuse me, this is not an Eschi, this is actually a Tamiya figure that that actually came as part of a command set, and I did quite a bit of modification on this guy. This guy actually has an Eschi figure's head, and cap. And then of course I added with his rifle, added a strap there, which you can see really well to give a little more detail, realistic detail. And then as we wanted to make him a motorcycle soldier, we've added a pair of goggles on the top of his helmet there. And of course this is a point in the battle where the war has taken a break in France, and you'll see this motorcycle soldier. He's got a little bit of an evening shadow on his face, perhaps a little bit of dirt and grime from riding that motorcycle throughout the countryside. And we tried to certainly highlight and detail that as best we could. And let's see here, just a few other things as we perhaps we'll turn this diorama around to kind of show you the little back side of the interior. A lot of the scattered debris which was used, you'll see quite a bit of the bricks. These I believe are actually Verlinden bricks as well, which were painted, broken up, and utilized as scattered debris. A few other planks, you can see some of the planks that have been, of course they were at one point on fire. And then a lot of the major debris itself is my sort of my home creation, which I like to use in a lot of dioramas. It is basically just very cheap, unscented cat litter. So I find that the little cat litter pieces do a great job. They're easy to put in a container, bust up, grind into powder, which you'll see, and it really, in my opinion, dresses up and makes for really good scatter debris when you're dealing with concrete buildings. And so I like that. I use that quite a bit. And then you'll see this upper level here. We've got an upper level that virtually is non-existent from the explosion and fire. We've got some debris up there, some planks that are ready to basically fall to the floor, looks like. And then finally, real quick, on the video overview part, we've got a tree with clump foliage. This is a standard Woodland Scenics tree kit. It's got a lot of green foliage on there. I think there's been quite a bit that was added to that foliage tree to give it a full effect. Again, this is taking place during the summer of '40. So what I try to do is, along with a lot of the scenic Woodland Scenics grass you'll see, I tried to keep more of a maybe a warm summer color, and of course you'll see a lot of the grass that has grown up in this countryside certainly has not been maintained and taken care of because it is the countryside, and you'll see that effect. So I tried to keep that theme of summer and the summer colors going in this diorama as well. And then lastly, the road in which the motorcycle rider's BMW sidecar is sitting in, this was simply made from plaster of Paris, and the tank tracks that you'll see throughout this road that is essentially some dried mud at this point, was actually made from just some old plastic tank tracks that I had laying around. And once the plaster started to cure a bit, then I simply just pressed in the tracks at various angles and levels to simulate there had been quite a few tanks that had driven through the countryside, on its way of capturing and defeating France. So just a few details I wanted to go over from the video itself. I'm going to, the remainder of the video, I'll be putting up the kits in which I have used to take pieces from and basically whole models to put together this diorama. And I'll have some still shots as well. And hope you've enjoyed this video. Again, this is just I really enjoy doing modeling and dioramas. It's a good stress relief from the grinds of life. And welcome any comments or questions you may have. And if any of you guys are certainly into doing model scales, whether it be 35th, 72nd, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to see some of your work as well. So hope you enjoyed this. We'll have more videos to come in the future. This again is just sort of a means to to break the monotony of the home remodel that is going on at this time. And actually, my hobby room is totally unavailable at this point. Has been relocated and moved because of that remodel, and so we'll have videos up in the future as we're able to get those back up as well. So, okay, hope you guys have a great day, and we'll talk soon. Again, this is the Plastic Commando, over and out.